So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. I'm delighted to welcome on stage Andy Paterson, the Sales Director for Woodmansterne Publications.
Hopefully the clicker works. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Robert. I committed not to talk about Woodmansterne all afternoon, so I spare you that. So I'm really here to talk about the greeting card market. However, this is called, in most cases, the graveyard shift. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. That's when directly after lunch, you're the one that presents, and you need to get everybody sort of in the mood. So in a moment, we're going to do that. I was party to a survey that was done some years ago. It was in a business and marketing magazine, and it asked people what their worst fear was. And what came out second was the fear of dying, believe it or not. Number one was the fear of public speaking. So two things. Hopefully, that means that more people would prefer not to be up here now. I mean, hopefully I don't die on stage this afternoon. The post office actually conducted a survey a year ago, and Robert was kind enough to share the results of that survey with me. And I think there was about 1,000 post officers that were surveyed, and it was remarkable. 94% of those post officers stocked greeting cards. So we certainly have to work on the other 6%. 80% of those that were surveyed actually only dealt with one supplier, which is also very interesting. So I thought it would be a good idea if we got you to do a bit of work first thing. So if I could ask everybody just to get on their feet for a moment. I won't be able to see you all doing it. It's quite bright up here. Okay. And could those that do not or are not a post office retailer, do you mind just sitting down so I can see who we have left? Okay. So could I ask those to sit down who don't stock greeting cards? Okay. This is an interesting one. This is where Robert, I'm sorry, I have to excuse myself now. Would you sit down, please, if you stock Woodmansterne cards? Right, so if it's okay, if you don't mind all coming up on the stage and giving me your names and numbers, I'll be in touch later. Thank you. Now, all those that maybe, the final thing to do then, how about those that only deal with one supplier? Would you remain standing? So if you deal with more than one supplier, sit down. Wow. So that's thank you very much. Please sit down. So that really shows that survey, 80% of people, one supplier. I'm not sure that's not indicative in this room. So I'm here really. Robert asked me to share a little bit about the market, which I'm just about to do. So how important are cards, particularly to post offices? Let's have a look. So chocolate. I used to work for Cadbury's years ago. Chocolate, 3.8 billion. A market that I don't know might be under a little bit of pressure because of health-conscious eating. Not in our house. We've got 3 girls in our house, and believe me, they eat lots of chocolate. Tea. Tea is actually a market that the UK has, of course, been very well known for, but actually is in slight decline, and I believe that's probably at the expense of coffee, which, of course, is now sort of more widespread than ever. But the greeting card industry is worth £1.7 billion. Massive market, and relatively static. There's been a lot happening and a lot of talk about online and how that might have, certainly during the pandemic, has affected sales. Well, you can see here the first block there is before the pandemic, and so on the left-hand side there it's 6% was the market at that point. Not significant at all. At its peak, when, of course, a lot of non-essential retail was shut, greeting cards went to 26% of the market, but never got any higher. And now, levelling off, now we're out, hopefully through the pandemic, at 12%. So still 88% of cards are bought in physical stores. Really, really important. The post office and the Royal Mail are really important too. I recall, whenever coming back off holiday, the big pile of post on the doormat, and I remember my parents literally sifting through it all and looking for the handwritten envelope, because that was the most exciting post. That was fun. Even more so now with so much rubbish that sometimes comes through the door. That handwritten card is so important. Our industry over the years has been quite robust. It's managed to see off really texting, social media, and remain quite static. So the greeting card remains an incredibly important part of our lives, and it sends lots of smiles and thoughts that really are welcomed by the person that opens their envelope. So really key. This will give you an idea of how important everyday cards are. So 70% of the market is through everyday, 18% Christmas, and 12% through spring seasons. And indeed, Christmas and spring seasons, as we'll see in a moment, actually happen in quite short spells of the year. There's a pretty typical example of retail out there nowadays selling Christmas cards. Because people are so last minute buying cards, that spike there that happens probably post-Halloween is quite crucial to try and adopt the same process in your own store. There are a lot of retailers that put too much Christmas out too early and lose everyday sales. If you can hold your nerve, maybe just a small selection of Christmas cards when you're first merchandising them, you'd find that if you actually expand your footage over that period of time, that actually you'll make more of your space. So everyday cards are important, really important, hence they're called everyday. Kantar did a survey during the pandemic and in 2021 and asked how many, and they've got a world panel that they go around looking at different people and different sectors of the market, and 76% of adults, actually UK adults, bought a card in 2021, which is remarkable. And when you think about your numbers, where you're offering cards in 94% of your outlets, it's a good link. I don't know what the post office demographic is, and I've got a slide in a moment that has a little sort of pop at it, if you like, but 80% of those over 65 bought a card. So greeting cards are bought generally by the older generation. I don't know if anyone recognises that post office. I don't even know where I got the picture from, but hopefully that's not indicative of your own, having people out on the street, and I don't know if that's raining or not there, but there's quite a wide variety of people there, but probably you'd say it's more the older generation than the younger. I don't know if this is a well-known fact, but 85% of cards bought in the UK are by females. And you can see this poor guy here. He's now actually gone shopping as well. He isn't very happy about it, to be fair. So 85% of cards bought by females, which means that when you're providing a display in your own stores, you've got to think about those people that might want a little bit of a different environment. Certainly, when we've done analysis in the past, greeting cards end up in more shopping baskets in most retail outlets than anything else. They drive footfall. This particular slide, this came from a retailer we trade with. It's John Lewis. And John Lewis, it's the most cross-shop product in their department stores across the country. So whenever somebody buys something, generally, certainly over 50% of the time, there's a card in the basket. So obviously stocking greeting cards and putting them in a good spot in your post offices, probably if you get the same experience whereby cards are bought with most things. I think this is important. You've got to, I always see greeting cards generally, particularly for the consumer that you're attracting, they want to feel quite calm, they want to be able to browse, they want to be able to find the time and the opportunity to go and have a good look around the department. Now, I know you won't all have that kind of space, but when you look at a supermarket generally is a quick grab of a card or two in the basket, because I'm really there to do my shopping. But when you look at that, and particularly in post offices, you have the opportunity to enable people to browse, and generally people will want to buy more than one card. And we've certainly seen that experience in a lot of the places and retailers we trade with. Also, it's really important that when you do put your display out, you criticise yourself. You have a look at your display and you say to yourself, could I buy a card here? Would I want to buy a card here? And also, have I got the variety in caption and design style that attracts a wide variety of people? So who are Woodmansterne? Well, we're a publisher that it makes its own cards here in the UK. And in fact, I'll just put all these up because they're easier to see. We have over 2,000 greeting cards that I don't know how our studio does it, but 50% of them change every year, which is absolutely amazing. Full range of seasonal. And generally, we're a company that works very closely with our retailers to make sure they've got the right products. We also were the first greeting card company to go to completely plastic-free. I know there'll be others out there that do both, but we took the plunge 2 or 3 years ago, and we're now, all of our cards don't have any plastic on them. And we have a little sort of label that holds the envelope and the card together. We were the first in the industry to do that. Robert mentioned W-Select. I'm not here to sell the virtues of brokerage. I'm really not. There are 2 ways people buy cards nowadays. They either select them all themselves, or indeed they let somebody else plan them. So, you know, there might be 1 or 2 of you out there that like that idea or are already doing that. So W-Select, as Robert played the film earlier, it really is just a card planning and supply chain solution. So it's all literally is we do everything. So if you take John Lewis as an example, they select the cards they want, we put them onto a plan, and we make sure they get to the shops, and we merchandise them for them. And indeed, if they don't sell, we'll either exchange them or return them. It's called category management in the world we're in. You'll see there that we have lots of refreshment, and indeed, for those retailers where we are, of course, working with them to choose the cards, they do, in fact, have a sale or return offer. Provide merchandising. We also have a very innovative fixture company that we work with, and we're here and available should anybody want to look at revitalising their department. And then we do, one of the things that's a little bit of a challenge in the industry is sales analysis and performance, but we're forever checking on our retailers' displays to make sure that they are absolutely singing every single day of the week. And these are the publishers that we work with. We have about 25 publishers, ever changing down to performance. But as you can see there, there's a whole array of talent that we work with, and they put their stock into our warehouse, and we're able to ship it out to our retailers. Indeed, when you go out into the retail exhibition later, my colleague Mark has got quite a lot of these publishers and examples of them, should you be interested. Obviously, you're here today, and hopefully to pick up 1 or 2 nuggets from the speakers, and also from the back there at the retail exhibition. And I thought I'd just put together a little bit of a sort of an idea. This has worked for us as a business in terms of working with our retailers. So let's just imagine, just for a moment, that you have a 24-foot display. That's that's 4 racks. 6 racks, 24 feet. Our average display that we work with is about 48. 24 feet of cards could be 200. Let's say you sell 200 cards. That's 400 cards. Let's say you sell 200 cards a week. And let's say your average sale at the moment is just £2. If in fact you're able to sell cards at £2.25, and let's be fair, a coffee nowadays is over £3 and lasts 10 minutes. So just think what £2.25 does when it arrives on that doormat. You're up to £20,000 a year over 52 weeks. That's just everyday cards. Imagine if you sold them at £2.25, and if you could produce a little bit more variety, you were able to sell 225 cards a week. Straight away, you're up to £26,000 a year just by looking at how you put your greeting card offer together and what you charge. You can still have the same entry price point, you could still have the same highest price point, but if you manage to get that average at £2.25, that's a 30% growth from the same customers. Imagine if you got some more customers. This is one of the cards I found online. This is a personalised greeting card. I am not having a go at the Royal Mail whatsoever, I think, but I thought that was quite good. There's lots of cards with post boxes on, and I thought that would be quite relevant. But there are cards out there nowadays that probably are very relevant. I mean, here's one here. Happy belated birthday. This is actually not a caption that doesn't sell that well nowadays. I think people have got their head round that, you know, sending a card late is a little disrespectful. But of course, we're dealing with couriers nowadays and all sorts of people. So this is quite interesting. To Melanie, at least we didn't lose it. I mean, I don't know how many people have worked with DHL recently, but it wouldn't be so bad, but my name's Andy. So then there's Happy Wedding Day. This actually is, my friend actually received a telegram years ago with this very message on at his own wedding day. And it said, to Tom and Claire, we're sorry we can't be with you on this very special day. It's because we aren't bloody invited. Sorry we missed you, maybe. Hi, Andy. We know you've been waiting. It must have been a mare. 45 minutes listening to awful music, but do we really care? From us all at either Sky, Eon Next, and Severn Trent, I'm just exercising my own frustrations because they're three companies I trade with or deal with, and I'm, yes, not great. So, a call to action. I think I always go to these conferences, indeed go on some training courses, and they don't get followed up properly. But I would ask you, as Robert said earlier, there was some discussions in the bar last night, and you get inspired, whether you've been inspired by this last 10, 15 minutes here, but certainly I would ask you to certainly look very closely when you get back to your stores, is how many cards do you sell a week? So if you look back to my little analysis and maths, you can make a big difference. And what are you selling your cards at? I'd just ask you to do that when you get back. Can you buy a card in your store? Oh, so many people. I'd heard it said, I've had managing directors who have been on the phone to our company and said, I can't even buy a card in my own shop. So, yeah, I'd ask you to try and do that if you can. Do you offer the sort of an array of a variety of designs and styles of birthdays and captions? I left UK Greetings some years ago, and they wanted to put 70, 80% captions on the display, and only 30% open birthday. But open birthday is general. It can appeal to everybody. At Woodmansterne, we do 50-50. And every single day, those 50% of open birthday cards outsell the captions. That was a big learning when I joined Woodmansterne 12 years ago. Do you properly get looked after by your suppliers? I'd ask you to ask that. Do they look after your green cards? I was talking to Nigel earlier, and I think Nigel had a plan from a company years ago and felt it was a bit one-dimensional and didn't actually get what he wanted. And he's done his own thing, and he's going to tell you about that in a bit. But so I would ask you to go back and say, I'm a good retailer. I deserve the best. So I'd ask you to look at that. And finally, how can you excite your own customers much, much more? Greeting cards really important. It's a fashion product, and it says a lot about what you're about, how you display them, what you have on your displays. And I'd ask you to have a really good look at that when you get back. Thank you for listening to me. Hopefully not too much about Woodmansterne. Thank you very much.